Okay, so is I'm audible to all of you? Is it audible? Just let me drink the water, then we'll start. Good evening. Good evening, Venkat, Prachi, Jyoti, Chetan, Raj. Okay, so let's start. In last class, we have discussed about the agriculture's allocation. Okay, in last class, we have discussed how much government has allocated for agriculture sector, and today we have to discuss other sectors also. But before moving to other sectors, what I want to tell you is, from here we are not going to discuss many things in detail. Why? Because many other sectors we are going to discuss in our entire syllabus. For example, just give me a second, I'll show you. This is our lecture plan, and in this lecture plan I have discussed this part. I have discussed this part, evolution of Indian financial system. We was discussing about the commercial banking, right, and structure of banking system. We have did this part, and then we jump to the budget part. From here we have jumped to the budget part on demand, right? So in the budget, generally there is, I told you earlier also, ki budget is not for the aspirants, budget is for the government department and ministries, right? But because the budget documents are being asked in the examination, so that is why it is very important. If you will know few things parallelly when the budget is presented, it will be easier for you to retain that data facts when we will discuss in the detail. So what I did till then now, I have comprehensively discussed what is budget, how it is presented, what are the key concepts in the budget. I have already discussed, and then I have started discussion about this year's budget's allocation. Right, I have started discussing this year's budget's allocation. So few allocations which are important in nature, I already have discussed. The rest of the things I will discuss, but point is there are certain things which government has just announced कि they are going to do this in this financial year. Okay, so they are going to do this thing in the financial year. So at a certain point of time in that financial year, you will see that कि this is going to happen. For example, digital university. Right. So government has made an announcement that they are going to start a digital university. So that digital university, the announcement is made, but the question probably is going to be asked when government is going to announce that we are going to set up digital university at this particular XYZ place. So question will be like that, कि which place the first digital university is going to be set up by the government of India, right? So there are some prospects, right? So in this announcements, there are some prospective announcement that we are going to do this thing in the financial year. So at this point of time, they are not as important, but they will come in the news whenever they will be presented. right? So for students, they have to cover a lot of things, like they have to cover the quant, English, and other things apart from this finance and economy part. But my expertise area is what? My expertise area is this finance, economy, and banking. So maybe you are going to forget, but I will remember that. So when I will tell you about the digital university, I will come with prefix key in the budget 2023. Government has made this announcement, and as per this announcement, government is doing this thing. So whenever during this financial upcoming financial year 2023 financial year, whatever the government is going to do, I will come up with the prefix, the announcement made by the government in the budget. Right. So this is why it is not required to discuss each and everything of the budget right now, because many things are just announced and they are not going to happen immediately. They will be announced at some part of the upcoming financial year. Even the financial year is not started yet. Okay. So certain announcements are being there. So if certain announcement is important and can be asked in the exam, I already told you. And when that thing is going to materialize, I will discuss with you, right? And many things are going to be discussed under this budget. For example, when we will discuss the inflation, right, or growth and development part, poverty alleviation, so all the schemes which are being implemented by the government, sustainable development and environmental issues. Yes, one more thing, I have seen a lot of chat on this issue, right? So it is already mentioned in this syllabus, so that means I am going to cover it comprehensively. Anyone who has not seen this lecture plan, if you have not seen this lecture plan, I will share this lecture plan with you in the group today, right? So you will get an idea ki what we are going to cover. And have a patience, I am going to discuss each and everything whatever I have mentioned here. But my way of doing the thing is ki I'll take the time and I'll do it comprehensively, thoroughly. I'm not kind of the person who want to jump kangaroo closer. I'm not believer of the kangaroo closer, right? I am a believer of what? I am believer of doing the things in the comprehensive manner. Otherwise just simply say that I'm not able to do this thing. I outrightly say to the management ki sorry, I'm not able to do that. Right. If I'll say ki I'll do it, then I will do it in a very comprehensive manner. Right. So this part is having some kind of chat and debate ki how this part will be covered. I will cover this part in detail. Mohit Sharma, I know that you have message, but the problem is since last 4 5 days, my health is not good, right? My health is not good. So even I'm not taking calls or not doing anything, just coming for your lectures because exam is approaching and I don't want to miss anything for you. So this is the reason I'm even not participating in the Telegram chat, or even I'm not replying. It doesn't mean, when I see for all of you, if I'm not replying, it doesn't mean that ki I'm ignoring, right? I am waiting for the appropriate time, and when I'll give the time, I'll give the proper time. Okay, so this is my way. Whenever I'll give the time, means it's not like that ki I'll give you the time next year, right? I'll give you the time in next 2 to 3 days. Let me fully recovered, then I'll give you the time and I'll discuss with you in detail. Apart from Mohit, there are other students who have messaged me, but I have not replied them, and even I have committed ki I will talk to you and not able to talk because 4 5 days are little bit problematic for me. Right. So once I will be fully recovered, I will definitely talk to you. Right. I am just preserving my energy for this session. For entire day, I was just keep myself quiet. Right. And doctor advised me to stay away from all the electronic device. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm not able to communicate with you despite seeing your messages. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm not able to communicate with you. But definitely give me 2 3 days when I will fully recovered. I will definitely discuss with you. Mohit and other students, all of you. Okay, PDF of see Mohit, no need to say sorry. I don't need any kind of the apology. No need to say sorry. Right. I completely understand being as a student, you should be always very demanding. Right. So students are always demanding, and I completely accept this thing as a professional way of doing the things, right? This is the sector where there are too much demand from your customer, right? So it's not appropriate to call customer, but anyways, we understand. So no need to say sorry. I understand you have need. That's why you are trying to approach me. I completely understand. So all of the students who approach me, please give me some time. I'll definitely get back to you. And Jyoti, yes, PDF will be given. PDF will be given. Uh, PDF. Budget sessions PDF. Okay. So just giving you the brief, you can see this. I think in the very first lecture I have discussed this thing. So this is the PDF of lecture plan. You can see that most of the issues I am going to cover: social movements, positive discrimination, gender-related issues, urbanization and migration, right? Demographic trend, multiculturalism, social structure of India. So whatever the social welfare announcement made by the government in this year's budget, definitely it will be covered whenever this issue will come. Okay. And health is like that right now. What is happening means, even I'm not able to understand what is happening with me, right? One reason I'm not able to sleep, that's for sure, कि I'm not able to sleep properly, right? Some people suggested me कि sir थोड़ा ले लीजिए, right? You will get a sound sleep. But I'm a non-alcoholic person, no smoking, no drinking. So maybe that is the reason I'm not able to sleep, and I'm not able to sleep because I'm not able to sleep. That's why I'm not able to recover properly. So maybe next 2 to 3 days I will be fine. Let's see. And thank you for all of your well wishes. So this is about the lecture plan. Now I will get back to that PDF which I was supposed to discuss. Okay. Okay, before going to today's discussion, I have one important PDF. In this PDF, actually, it's a Government of India's document. It's a Government of India's expenditure document, and in this expenditure document, they have shown that how much we are going to spend, right, in upcoming financial year. And when the budget was presented for last financial year, when the budget was presented for last financial year, that is, sorry, ongoing financial year, that was 2021 2022. So some announcement was made on 1st Feb 2021 for this financial year, right, in the budget estimate. However, the revised estimate is being given, and the budget estimate for this financial year is given in the comparative way. You can see that interest payments and servicing of a debt. So this is what we are going to spend in this financial year. Which financial year? 22 financial year. And this is the amount we are going to pay in this financial year. So you can see that there is a huge rise in the interest payments. There is a huge rise in the interest payments, and this is one of the reason why government has extended its borrowing this year. Why government has extended its borrowing this year? Huge increase in the borrowing. Why? Because this year government have to repay lot of loans which are going to mature in this financial year. So you can see that there is a huge rise in the interest payments, right? Interest payments. Whereas again there is a rise in the grant and loan to the state government. Almost 1,80,000 crore is going to increase. So these are the two important areas where government's expenditure has increased exponentially, right? You can see that whereas other sector growth is, means rise in the growth is little bit moderate, right? 66,000 crore, 46,000 crore, 20,000 crore, 16,000 crore, 8,000 crore, 7,000 crore. But if you will see these two areas, right? These two areas, interest payments and grant and loan to states, here in these two areas, there is a huge rise in the expenditure of the government, right? Comparatively to the financial year 2022, if you will compare these two financial year, here there is a huge rise, right? And this is the reason why government has increased its borrowing, right? So why government has increased its borrowing? Number one, government want to push infrastructure project, but at the same time, what government is showing in their document, gati shakti, this program, that program, infrastructure program, we are going to fund a lot of money for those things. But one thing which government has not explicitly mentioning, however, data is showing very clearly कि you have to pay 1,26,860 crores extra in this financial year as an interest payments, right? So about 7 lakh crores government is going to borrow. About 7 lakh crores government is going to borrow, and you can see that why the 7 lakh crores they are going to borrow. What they are saying that we are going to spend a lot of money on infrastructure. But the other part of the side is, apart from infrastructure investments, you have to spend a lot of money on the interest payments, right? So this is the reason. Whereas grant and loans to the state governments, right? Grant and aid to the state governments, because state governments already they are in the disadvantageous position, because most of the taxation power is in the hand of government of India, right? Our constitution under 7th schedule, under 7th schedule, they have given the power to union, state, and there is a congruent list. Congruent list means where both are able to make certain rules and regulations. So if you will see this list carefully, you will find that most of the taxation power and important taxes are with the union. Number भी ज़्यादा है means they have huge number of the list of the taxation area with the union, and all important tax are also with the union government, right? So central government is also responsible to provide aid and help to the state governments. So that is why it is like a good increase, and it shows cooperative, federalism approach. Cooperative federalism approach. Federal is a political word, polity word. It's come from the polity, not political, polity, which means that India is a kind of union of state where there are multiple layer of the government exist. So when in a country multiple layer of the government exist, like union government, state government, then local government. So when the multiple layer of the government exist, and every layer have their certain area of discretion, we called it as a federal system, right? So if center is giving money to the states without any push by the states, then it is showing that the center is willing to share the revenues with the states, right? So it is a positive trend. It is a positive trend. Now if you will look over all other expenditures, means they are covering in what sense? In what sense you are saying covering? No, actually it is not covering. Every government will means, even if government is going to say this, we have to pay a lot of interest. What government is going to say that? Government is going to say that these loans were taken by the previous government. These loans were taken by the previous government, which is going to mature in this year 2022, and we have to pay it, right? So it's a part, nothing like covering and all. no conspiracy kind of the thing. Okay. Acha, one important thing which I want to show here, you can see that plus, plus everywhere there is a rise. However, one important area you can see that medical and public health. The reason why I'm showing this data to you, you can see that medical and public health, they have targeted to spend 74,820 crore in this financial year, and in upcoming financial year 23 financial year they are going to spend only 41,000 crore on health, public health and medical. That is decrease of 33,809 crores. Generally what we expect from the government, ki government is going to increase the outlay on public health. Why government is going to increase the outlay on public health? Because there is a requirement. There is a requirement of what? There is a requirement of increasing our public health infrastructure. But you can see that there is a decrease. There is a decrease. So can anybody tell me why there is a decrease? Why there is a decrease on public health, medical and public health? Why there is a decrease? Can anybody tell me? Anyone? COVID wave settled now. COVID wave settled now on particular sector, because last year utilized more fund. Okay. Any other answer? Okay, good. Lower spending on to make vaccine. Very good. Due to COVID vaccine. Okay. Maybe that much fund is already allocated to any COVID related healthcare facilities. Okay, fine. Nice try. Especially Raj was about to near, he's very near to the answer. See, what I have shown you here is medical and public health, right? But it is not showing entire picture of government spending. It is not showing entire picture. It is showing expenditure on medical and public health, right? Medical and public health. Now I'll show you the complete picture. I'll show you the complete picture. Just give me a second. Okay. Here they have mentioned medical and public health, right? So it is showing expenditure on medical and public health. But if you will see here, healthcare, overall healthcare sector is getting 83,000 crores. Overall healthcare sector. This is overall healthcare sector. overall healthcare sector is getting total expenditure of 83,000 crore. This is allocation to total healthcare sector, and out of this healthcare sector, one area is what? One area is medical and public health. So here government is going to spend lump sum around 40,000 crore. Last year they have spent here around 70,000 crores, but this year they are going to spend only 40,000 crore. But total allocation is how much? Total allocation is 80,000 crore. Now, before having doubt in your mind, just do this thing so things are going to be clear, right? So they have allocated how much? 83,000 crore for Department of Health and Family Welfare, and out of which 32,000 crore they are going to give the research part, health research. So government is going to spend 3,200 crore on health related research. Obviously that is basically based on what? That is focused on spending money on research, right? And in this year's budget speech, our finance minister has announced pharma sector as a sunrising sector. Pharma sector as a sunrising sector, they have made this announcement, and this pharma sector as a sunrising sector in terms of medicine related research. So you can see that why finance minister have announced pharma sector research. Pharma sector research as a sunrising sector, because government has planned to spend 3,200 crores on health related research thing. So total outlay is what? 83,000 crore, right? And out of means they are going to spend, sorry, total outlay is 86,000 crores, and out of which 32,000 crores they are going, 3,200 crores they are going to spend on health related research. Total is 86,000, and out of 86, 83 is going to be spent by the Health and Family Welfare Ministry, and 3,200 crore will be spent on health research, right? And it is a great increase. It is a great increase to push pharma sector research. Fine. Now, another important factor government has did with the digital, the backbone of healthcare system. To more digitalize, government has allocated 200 crore in comparison to 75 crore for what? National Digital Health Mission. So in last financial year, they have spent how much? 75,000 crore. They committed, we will spend 75,000. We are going to spend 75,000 crore on National Digital Health Mission. But this year, government has committed, they are going to spend 200 crores. So on digital health, you are spending 2,200 crores. On research, you are going to spend 3,200 crores. So all these things within the sync of FM's statement, pharma sector as a sunrising sector, right? Another thing, this data is not very important, but still various central sector scheme including Pradhan Mantri Swasth Suraksha Scheme, Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission, and family welfare schemes saw an increase of 10,000 crores, right? Saw an increase of 10,000 crore. So these schemes, as you know, that these schemes are like they can ask, they have this discretion, they can ask any scheme from any point of time. You cannot guess it ki they are going to ask this scheme only, right? And a lot of time you ask, sir, which scheme is important, which scheme should I study and which scheme should I left, right? So for that, my advice, you can take it or you can leave it, right? It's up to you. I'm not going to say that it's a right thing or it's a wrong thing, but because there are a lot of schemes, right? And it is impossible to cover all those schemes, right? Listen very carefully what I'm going to discuss with you here. See, there are huge number of the schemes in the exam. For the exam, huge number of schemes. Every department have minimum 4 or 5 schemes, right? So if you are going to study all those schemes, it is going to be very difficult for you to cover all those, and you are going to have a headache in your mind ki I have not covered all the schemes. One fact. Another fact is whatever effort you are going to make, you are not able to correct 100 questions or 100%. Not 100 questions. You are not able to correct it 100%. Okay. So the maximum effort you are going to make is going to give you around 70% to 80% result. Right? 70 to 80% you are able to correct. Right? Rest of the question will be like that. Some questions will be like that. You are not able to do it. Right? So my take is, do not worry about those areas which is beyond your ability. Do not worry about those areas which is beyond your ability, right? So covering all schemes, it is beyond your ability. Believe it, it's not possible you can cover and you can have all the data in your mind, right? So some students say that ki sir kya kare chhod dein, means we should leave the scheme part. No, you should not leave the scheme part. I'm not saying that you should leave the scheme part. You have to follow selective approach. First, your strategy should be like, I will go for selective approach. And if I will have a time, if I will have an extra time, then I will try to cover rest of the schemes also. But if I have a limited time, then I will go for only selective approach. And now what is selective approach? Right. For selective approach, think from the point of view of examiner, right? Examiner or the person who is going to set the question paper. So if I am a person, I am going to set the question paper and I want to put the question on scheme, right? So there will be maybe 4 to 5 questions on the scheme, right? Suppose ki 4 to 5 questions I have to ask on the scheme. So all 5 questions, there is a very less probability they are going to choose all these 5 questions randomly from anywhere. They are not going to choose all these 5 questions randomly from anywhere. There will be a pattern. And what kind of the pattern? They are going to ask certain schemes out of this 5, 3 to 4 questions like that, which are currently in the news since last 1 year, right? Because of the budget announcement, or there is a drop, or there is a scam or something like that, which is in news in last 1 year, right? So that is going to be their targeted area. And to make you confused, right, and to make you puzzled, definitely 1 or 2 questions they are going to choose randomly, right? They are going to choose randomly. So when they are going to choose it randomly, you will be always puzzled कि यार कहीं से भी पूछ लेते हैं, from anywhere they are asking question, how to do this part, right? So don't worry about those 2 questions because you are not able to complete the 100%, right? Focus on first on those schemes which are in news, right? So since last 6 month, 8 month, when you are reading the current affairs, right, so you have found that that particular scheme is in news, right? So make a data of that scheme, right? A separate data you can make, and it's very simple. Go to that particular ministry, copy and paste, and you can make a word file, you can make a PDF file, right? This is what I'm telling you. You can do it on your own also, though we are providing all the data, but some smart work you can do on your own also, right? So this kind of the smart work is required. Ki, okay, whatever the scheme is in news, I will make the data profile, right? So I will make the data profile, and first I'll do the revision of those schemes. Then I will go to the material, and when I will go to the material, automatically the common part is going to be revision for me, and the rest of the part, if I have a time, I'll read those ones also. So this is how to cover the schemes, right? Sometimes they do ask those schemes of 1970s, 1980s scheme they'll do ask, and you will be what? You will be sensitized. Ki are yaar, means why they are asking such a kind of static data. So sometimes what? Sometimes in Hindi it is known as bhokal, right? So sometimes we have to create a fear and confusion among the students, right? Or aspirants, to create a confusion or kind of what? A kind of misguiding tactics, right? So that's why there will be certain questions which are being placed to misguide you, pressurize you, and divert your attention and focus in the examination hall. So this is why sometimes they will put some questions. Okay, so you need not to worry about each and everything. Always try to focus those areas where you are able to do it. So in nutshell, what I am trying to emphasize, focus only on those schemes which are in the budget this year, and they are going to be remain in news for upcoming 4 to 5 to 6 months, right? Means from your exam notification to exam date, whatever the schemes are in news, focus on that first, right? Rather than trying to cover entire. First, be selective and cover the important ones, right? Then, if you have a time, then you can go for other schemes also, right? But I don't think so. You are going to have a luxury of that amount of time. So in nutshell, be very practical and have a selective approach, right? And when you are going to have a selective approach, you can keep this thing in mind. Out of 5 questions, you are able to correct only 3 or maximum 4, not all 5. You are never going to correct all 5, and if you are able to correct 3 or 4, it is going to give you an rate of what? 80%. That is going to be sufficient. 80-85% it is going to help you to clear the exam, right? So be very practical rather than being what? Rather than trying to be the Herculean task. If you have a time and strength like in Hercules, go for it. But if you do not have a time and strength like Hercules, then why, right? Then why you should go for that thing? So strategically very important, what kind of the right approach you are following. This is also very important. So that's why what happens, some students with selective reading and minimum time, selective reading with minimum time, they will crack it. Whereas there are some students who are studying 1 year or 2 year, but they are not able to crack it, right? So this is why it's very important. Any doubt what I have discussed with you regarding these schemes? Any doubt in your mind? If you have any doubt in your mind, please let me know. Okay, if it is clear, then as we are saying that medical and public health is decreased by 33,809 crores, right? And you can see here this, the allocation for COVID-19 vaccine 2 was down by 5,000 crores. Down by 5,000 crores. A health economist pointed out that at a time of program was being expended to adolescent and precautionary dose last year 35,000 crore was allocated towards the COVID-19 vaccination program. So last year they have allocated 35,000 crore. This year they have allocated how much? 5,000 crores. What it is showing? And what is the rationale to decrease the expenditure to 5,000 crore from 35,000 crore? The first reason and rationale why government has decreased this amount, because the vaccination program is in very fast lane and already government has given the money for two doses. Already they have given the money for two doses. Right now they are going to give the money for precautionary doses, and already government has made a lot of expenditure to procure the vaccine. So there is already enough money is being given by the government even to give the doses, precautionary doses, as well as adolescent. And another thing, government don't want to give free. Government already have given the lot of free vaccines to most of the population, but later on government is not having this thing in the mind ki we will provide the free of cost even uh, after this financial year. So these are the two reasons why they have decreased the allocation from 35,000 crore to 5,000 crore. And this is why you can see that there is a drastic decrease of 33,000 crore. So this is the reason, right? So this is the reason why on public health the expenditure is decreased. Now the most important thing and the most important data which you can use even in the interview if something will be on health and public health, anything when you are writing an answer essay on health, right? Health in India, if you are writing, then this data is going to be very important to use in order to criticize the government and then present a way forward for the government. So when we criticize something, it's not like a common man's criticism, means I am criticizing. So whenever we criticize anything, we also have to present the solution, and that we will call as a way forward. So example, and the important data, budget is silent on the increase of public expenditure on health and path to 2.5% of GDP spent on healthcare by 2025. At the time of peak of the COVID wave in India, government has announced that ki by 2025 government will start spending 2.5%. 2.5% of their total GDP on what? Healthcare. By which year? 2025. But if you will see whatever the announcement was made by the government in this year's budget outlay for health, government has not mentioned anything ki in this way we are targeting to reach 2.5% of our GDP on health related expenditure, right? So this is one of the area where you can criticize the government, and you have mentioned that it's very important for the government to present a roadmap how government is going to increase outlay for health related issues so that it will be somewhere around 2.5% of our GDP, right? So this is an important bhokal is a Kanpuriya word. Okay. First focus here, then I'll take this point. So 2.5% of GDP is targeted by 2025. 2025, it is in target set by the government, but this year's budget have not presented any roadmap for this purpose. Right? So this is very important. This data you can use, and maybe this data can be asked in exam also. What is the target on health related expenditure by year 2025 set by the government of India? 2.5% of GDP, right? 2.5% of GDP. Now another important thing is in this budget, that is why it is mentioned other extreme announcement, the launch of National Tele Mental Health Program. This corona made many people mental. Mental in the sense, don't take it in the sarcastic manner, because people are not very familiar, right? People are not familiar with this kind of the thing what we are seeing in last 2.5 year, right? For example, I'm giving my example. I am a kind of person, when I'll do the teaching, I just want the interaction with the students, right? I'm a classroom kind of the teacher. You can see the whiteboard behind me, right? This whiteboard behind me is only for the purpose ki whenever I'll get frustrated, I'll start teaching on this whiteboard, right? So that is going to give me some satisfaction, some sort of the satisfaction. So I'm a kind of person who, until unless not going to see in the eyes of the student their body language, right, then I'm not satisfied. So this is the reason sometimes I'll repeat the same thing two times, three times, same word, because I'm not getting the feeling ki whether you are getting it or not. And even when you say yes sir, we got it, even there is anxiety inside me. There is anxiety inside me because I'm not able to see you. So I'm a good reader of face reading. So I immediately get that my student got this thing, or I have to explain in the other way. So this is very problematic for me, right? But fortunately, I do not need to consult any means psychiatrist or all, because I read a lot of psychology books also, and psychology was also my optional during my civil services preparation. So thank God. But still, yes, there are some people, and the mental health related issue is rising in India, right? So when the society become little bit complex, these kind of the issue arises. And in India, there was no such uh, way from the government. But now this year they have announced National Telemental Health Program, a network of 23 telemental health center with NIMHANS, that is National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. Without going to internet, can anybody tell me where it is? Where this institution is located? It is mentioned here, Bangalore, right? It is mentioned here, Bangalore. So this institute at Bangalore. So if they are going to ask, if they are going to ask in the exam, National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience is located. So people will get puzzled. Ki why they are asking this thing? It's a GK. Yes, it's a GK, but that GK is a part of this budget's announcement, right? So this is why sometimes out of context question will be there, but they are actually not out of the context. They are the part of the context, but you are not able to get the proper picture. So National Telemental Health Program, 23 telemental health centers with NIMHASNS, right? National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, right? So this is an important announcement by the government. Means why it is important? Because government first time recognizes कि yes, Indian people may be mental, and that mental going to be required some kind of the treatment, right? Otherwise in Indian society we are like that, if somebody have what, somebody have depression kind of the thing or any other related issues, they always hesitate to go to the treatment. Why? Because once the surrounding people, the society will know that ki you are consulting a psychiatrist, people will understand कि आप पागल है. That's why you are consulting the psychologist, psychiatrist specifically, right? So this is the perception in India. This is the bad perception in India, and Indians do not give any kind of this importance to this kind of the thing. You can see that uh, racism, right? Racism. Indians are bound racist. They are bound racist, born racist. We take it as a granted. Many times you can see that people even do not feel that this is racist. This is racist, and they'll do that thing, right? They do that thing. So it's very important for the society to understand such kind of the issues. And sometimes we have heard the say bad news, especially from the aspirants, right? They have taken the extremist steps, they are not able to get select, and they have taken the extremist steps, right? And sometimes they do not do take the extremist steps, but they are doing the frustration in other areas. So this is why it's very important for country like India, with having 1.4 billion population. That's why government has recognized, and it's a good initiative, right? Bangalore. Okay. Candidates perplex about how to study static GK, but truth is, static GK is asked only on the line of current affairs. Yes, true, true, very true, Anshu. Saurabh Singh says that it is at Agra. No, no, not is at Agra. Yes, Bhokal is a Kanpuriya word, and I'm also born at Kanpur, born and brought up at Kanpur, but right now in Hyderabad. Okay, fine. So let's move from health to education. So, for your clarity, I have mentioned that the total allocation for education is how much? 53,382 crores. This is the allocation put forward by the government for education. Why less amount of money for the education is the reason is health is means education is not only with the union. Sorry, education is not only with the union, it also be the part of states also. So states also have the same kind of the responsibility to spend a lot of money on the education part, right? So government of India has limited uh, right in the sector of education, right? But if you will see, for example, Japan, I'll give you the example of Japan. Japan from 1890, they started spending 4% of their GDP on education. Japan is a country with no natural resources. No natural resources, right? Only the torrential rivers are there, so hydroelectric capacity is there, but that is not a kind of mineral sources or something like that which can give you the extraordinary advantage, right? So Japan is a resourceless country. So what they did, they started spending on education, right? 4% of their GDP. Mises Mises was in power. They're the dynasty in Japan, and they started spending 4% of their GDP, right? And in 1906, they have defeated Russia, the big empire of that time. So the rise of Japan is because of they have made their society knowledgeable, right? And they have developed a kind of culture on education based society. So this is the reason why Japan is a kind of rising power and have a very good strong foundation. Even if you will see total number of Nobel Prize won by or total number of research PhD and patent filed by Japan is always number 2 and number 3, right? So it's very important to spend a lot of money on the education, but for unfortunately our politicians, our society do not make as an important issue, right? And see, there is a difference between literate and educate, right? So there is a difference. There is a difference, right? So maybe literacy rate is increasing, right? But until unless you have an quality education, it is not being educated, right? Being an educated means what? You should have a quality education. Lot of students who are here, they maybe they are coming from BTech background, right? And for preparing for the engineering exams, at a point of time they have prepared for. So while preparing for this BTech or you can say IIT entrance exam, book of H.C. Verma, Concept of Physics, right? And another book, I.E. Irodov. I.E. Irodov, right? And that book is written by a Russian. And you know that this I.E. Irodov book is being taught in their class 10th in Russian curriculum. In Russian curriculum, this I.E. Irodov book is being taught in their 10th curriculum, right? And students who are preparing for IIT exam, they find this book one of the most difficult book, right, to solve the problems, and that is at their 10th level curriculum in Russia, right? So education is one of the biggest issue in India. Lot of structural and functional problem in the education sector, and that is why it is one of the neglected sector in India. And you can see that the less number of allocation is being given to the education sector. I think there are some questions. Okay, fine. Effective revenue and capital expenditure. Effective revenue and capital expenditure. Okay. Sir, I have a doubt. Can we say that due to the digitalization, most of the sectors of economy has seen decline in the budget? Most of the because of the digitalization, most of the sectors of economy have seen decline in the budget allocation. No, Prachi, it's not like that. Most of the sector to expend the digitalization, government is spending more money. It's not decreasing, but they are increasing the outlay, total outlay. Yes, in terms of what? The conventional areas, the very conventional areas, government is not spending the conventional areas, government is trying to push the digitalization. So government is more focused toward the digitalization. So whatever the amount they are spending in the conventional areas earlier, they have seen the dip. Yes, they have seen the dip, but that money was taken from there and it is spent on what? It is spent on the digitalization process, right? So this statement is partially true but not correct statement. It is not a correct statement. Effective revenue capital expenditure and effective revenue expenditure. See, effective, okay, I'll explain you. It's not very difficult thing. When we say that we are going to spend how much, we are going to spend 100 rupees. Okay, I am going to spend 100 rupees on capital expenditure and I am going to spend 200 rupees on revenue expenditure. So this 200 rupees, out of this 200 rupees, government is going to spend 50 rupees on devolution of taxes to states. Means out of this 200, 50 is going to give by the union to states. Is going to be given by union to states, right? And out of this 50, when it is given to the states, right, state is going to spend 30 on revenue expenditure and 20 on capital expenditure. So in the budget, government announced that they are going to spend total 200 and out of 200 they are going to give to 50 rupees to states as a part of total tax division. And when state has received this 50, they spend 30 rupees on revenue expenditure and they spend 20 rupees on capital expenditure. So here effective revenue expenditure of government of India is not 200. It is not 200. It is 200 minus this amount 20, that is 180. This is effective revenue expenditure, right? Whereas effective capital expenditure is going to be how much? 120. Okay. So this is going to be the effective capital expenditure. Now suppose that the government has mentioned this 20 rupees will be deducted from here and it will be added here. Okay, I hope till then here you have understood what is effective revenue expenditure. Now when we went here, we have seen that government has announced they are going to spend capital expenditure of 100, right? But this 20 they have mentioned here, but it is going to be spent here, so it is showing 120. So this is 120 your capital expenditure. But when we have closely examined the government expenditure, this 100 they have announced, but this 20 is added here. But when we started closely scrutinizing this capital expenditure, we have found that around 5 rupees, around 5 rupees spent on facilitating auctions and other expenses, right? So this 5 rupees is not actually spent on what? That 5 rupees is not actually spent on anything for income generation. That is being spent on facilitating the other things, right? Facilitating the things. So effectively this money is not spent as a capital expenditure, this money is spent as a revenue expenditure. So we will minus this 5 rupees from here, 115, and we will add this 5 rupees here, so it will be 185. Okay, so when we say effective, we have to clearly check what money is, where the money is going to be spent actually, right? It's not like that what we have announced, what actually, where the money actually is going to spend, then we said it is effective revenue deficit, effective revenue expenditure, effective capital expenditure, right? So sometimes what happened? Sometimes what happened in the companies, right? So companies will organize some meeting, right? So that meeting is organized at five-star hotel, right? So at five-star hotel, they have organized a meeting with the investors, right? So investors, you have a meeting at five-star hotel, and investors ready to spend how much? For example, there is a 3-day meeting with the investors at the five-star hotel, and investors committed, we are going to give you around 10 crores for further expansion of your company. But for this 3-day meeting, you have spent almost, suppose that 20 lakhs. You have spent 20 lakhs on this meeting. So 10 crore minus 20 lakh. 10 crore minus 20 lakh, this is going to be effectively available for you for investments. So effectively how much we are going to get? 9.80, because already we have spent how much? This amount, right? Okay. So let's move to the education part. So government has announced that ki Prime Minister E-Vidya, through that they are going to increase the number of channels. It's not very important. The important part here is what? They are going to establish a digital university. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this discussion, ki digital university, where it is going to be set up and what amount is going to be decided by the government for this digital university, that may be a area where there can be a question, right? So just an announcement for the digital university. Maybe if you are appearing in SBI or any kind of clerical or PO exam, maybe that kind of the question ki which of the following universities announced by the government of India in financial year 2023 announcement, budget announcement, the digital university. The simplest question. Allocation, where it is located, what is the basic nature, such kind of the thing they may ask in your RBI exam. So what I will do, I'll discuss this skill development part tomorrow, right? Because my throat is not allowing me. I was thinking I will discuss it today, and I'll wind up the discussion on the budget, but I'll do it tomorrow, and then I'll wind up the session on the budget discussion, and we will come back to our original schedule. Okay, why RBI and Government of India GDP estimation growth rates are different? Okay, see, government is always having a political organization, right? So government's data and their officials, right? Government's data and their officials are not giving the false data, but their data is more optimistic in the nature, right? That is more optimistic in the nature, whereas RBI do not have a such kind of the foundation on his head while doing the calculation. So RBI data is more realistic data rather than optimistic data, right? Whereas if you will see the data given by whom, data shown by IMF and World Bank, you will find the difference of 100 basis point or even 200 basis point. Why? Because they know that ki Indian government and their agency are over optimistic, so they are being more conservative while doing the calculations, right? So this is why it is the way how you are approaching, right? How you are approaching the growth and development of particular sector. That is why there is a difference in the data, right? So what kind of the approach? You have very optimistic approach, you have a pessimistic approach, or you have a kind of neutral kind of the approach. On these basis it is being decided, right? So this is the reason. Okay, one remaining lecture. Saurabh sir plan a session for NABARD interview. Yes, probably from tomorrow we will have a session on NABARD interview, and yes, SEBI session is also remaining. Okay, yes, 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 yes. Okay, SEBI session I will complete tomorrow. Thank you, Prachi. So okay, I'm winding up today. I'll start tomorrow from here. This is skill development. Okay, thank you.